Hello and welcome to Sessions with Judith John. On the screen, you can see the phone number on which you can contact me 82979 70282, or just drop an email sessionswithjudithjohn@gmail.com. In today's session, we're going to see the lesson, The Rat Trap. The Rat Trap by Selma Lagerlof. Before we begin the story, it's good to know the backdrop, the theme, the message, the title. And once we do this, then the story, the lesson will become very easy to understand. So first, the theme. The theme is the universal truth and belief that the essential goodness in a human being can be awakened through understanding and love. This is a universal truth, and this is what is brought out through this story. It's a beautiful story to be enjoyed, just like any other fairy tale story. And the title, the very title, The Rat Trap, is a metaphor. It refers to the trap of material benefit that most human beings are prone to fall into, considering the whole world as a rat trap and all the things available in this world as the attractions to fall into the trap. Just like all of us fall off into the trap of this materialistic world. So all the material things around us that we are tempted to buy, we are tempted to possess, and then all problems begin with this, then there is no peace. So the whole truth of this, but when we fall into a trap, what happens? It's very difficult not to fall into the trap. Easily people do fall into the trap. So when you fall into the trap, then what happens? How are you able to come out of it? You need somebody's help to come out. And that comes out of the kindness that people show us. And that's what the story is about. More about the goodness in a human being, that all human beings are good and finally they want to be good. Okay? Although they do fall into the trap and they wish to come out of it as well. So the backdrop of the story here is about, it's in Sweden. Now Sweden is a place where it's a whole lot of mines over there, iron ores, rich in iron ore. Okay, so all the stories, all the history of the place, the legends, whatever is told about that place has something to do with iron ores, iron mines, okay, and whatever is made of iron, anything, any industry related to iron. So the story is told somewhat in the manner of fairy tale, using mistaken identity to build the plot. I don't know if this has happened to you, but it's quite common that someone calls out to you thinking that you are that person, and the moment you turn them you say, no, it's not you, okay, sorry. So this does happen. We think that person looks like someone whom we know, an acquaintance of ours, and when we really go near, and we may find it somebody else. The story is built on this concept of mistaken identity. But what happens after that is interesting. So what is the value or the message that we are looking at? Every story here in your Flamingo, every lesson has beautiful values for life. So here again, the value or the message. First, it's understanding others and showing love and care. You know, our main heroine in this story does that beautifully. The human tendency to redeem oneself from dishonest ways. Now here again, I would say it's the inner feeling. Every human being surely wants to be honest, wants to be good, and that inner conscience always keeps us awake. And so even if we do something wrong, somewhere it keeps pricking and telling us, no, come on, come out of it, come out of it. And so we do look out for something or someone to help us to come out of it. And then, of course, the story also touches on one thing which today the world is really suffering from: human loneliness. The need to bond with others. Every living human being, we need to bond with others. If you look at and actually closely analyze, We are the world's best example of a parasite. We are dependent on everyone and everything around us for all our needs. Unlike many animals, we are not able to make our own homes. We are dependent on so many people who will make our home for us. Unlike other animals, even for they don't have anything called clothes. We look for that. For every basic need also we need the support of others. So this whole thing about human loneliness that people suffer from and all the time really wanting someone. And that's why the concept of the family, which is so important. Yes, that I have someone for me. Okay. So all these things are beautifully interwoven into this story. The next important thing in any good story is the characters or main characters. The main characters in this story are these four that you have to remember very clearly. First of all, the rat trap seller or the peddler, he is being referred to as the poor man or the beggar in the lesson, is the most important. He is a central character. Everything revolves around him. Then we have the crofter. Who is a crofter? I'll explain that to you later. Just now, he's an old man. He's a very good host, but he's the one who sets a bait for the poor man. And then we have the iron mill owner, the iron master, called the iron master in the story. He represents common man, the common man's attitude, and the way we look at poor people, the upper middle class, how they look at poor people or beggars. So he represents this, the iron master. Okay. And then we have the most important and interesting character in the story, the Iron Master's daughter named Edla. Edla comes as a savior. Now she's not this common person. She's uncommon to see people like Edla, but she is the true hero in the story, the one who comes to the aid and help of this poor man, the rat trap seller. Maybe we can become like Edla and not remain like the Iron Master, nor the crofter. Crofter is good. He is a good person. But somewhere indirectly, he becomes the reason for the rat trap seller to fall into a trap. Now, having seen all this so far, the title, the message, the value in the lesson, the backdrop of the lesson, the iron ores in Sweden, and about the main characters, the four main characters in the story. Now we'll go on to the text to understand a little more about the story. Now we'll quickly go through the lesson with all the important things together. Keep your textbooks open for better understanding. And you can also mark the way I am showing it here and I'm marking for you all the important things. So what you have to learn for the exam, whatever is important for the exam, as well as to understand the story and really take note of the important points that are really important for the exam and for understanding of the story. So the Rat Trap by Selma Lagerlof. We'll just revise once more what is the story about, bringing out the universal theme, a belief that the essential goodness in a human being can be awakened through understanding and love. This is what is important, the important part of the story. So just like all other stories, it starts off with once upon a time there was a man. Who is this man? He is the central character of our story, the rat trap seller. So selling small rat traps of wire. Okay. Now he is also being described as a person. You can see here all what I have highlighted in my textbook here, like where I am showing you. You can also highlight in your book. It will be good for revision because all that is being highlighted is for your 1 and 2 marks questions. It's important points. So please do mark them. He is begging, and he is also, when he is not getting enough with begging to even have a single meal a day, then he goes into petty thievery. What is that? Small time thief. He just gets small things here and there which will at least quench his thirst and help him with his hunger. Okay, and to calm down his hunger pangs. All right. So naturally, he is being described here as in rags, dressed in rags, in torn clothes, in old torn clothes. His cheeks sunken. Now, someone who is not healthy, who is not nutritiously fed, will, the first thing is, the cheeks will go in. So, it's sunken cheeks, and uh, hunger gleamed in his eyes. So, this is the condition of the central character of our story, our protagonist. Okay, the rat trap seller. He is being called by different names. The author calls him by different names, and one of the names used here is the vagabond. Vagabond means a wanderer. Okay, so here the rat trap seller is a vagabond. He just goes around, he doesn't have a home, so he'll only be going around in the streets and wait for wherever he can get something. And then plods. What does he do? He walks around. How does he wander around? Trudges. He walks very slowly with heavy footsteps because he is really not having any energy at all left. He is poor, he is hungry, he is dressed in rags, he is a beggar. All right. Now, when he is doing all this, only thing he does is once in a while. Now, you can see here the picture of a rat trap. I don't know how much you know about rat trap. This is the olden days. In the olden days, right on top of the title of the lesson, you can see here the picture of the rat trap. The rat trap in those olden days was a cage like this, and then slowly the cage disappeared, and then we started getting a trap with a spring. All right, so you have something like that, a wooden plank, and then the spring just let go when the rat comes in, and it will simply catch the rat and not allow it to move, and so the rat will die there. This was the next type of rat trap which you would have seen in Tom and Jerry series as children. I'm sure you wouldn't have missed that. And then you have the next, now the latest ones coming is only glue pads. You just place the glue pad, the rat will climb on it, it will get stuck there, and it will not be able to move any further and will naturally die. Or you can either just take and throw it and dispose it wherever you have to. Okay, so these are the different. So the rat trap seller who makes the rat traps, now in olden days, so he was making this kind of rat traps here, the way it's shown over here, the cage. Okay. Now when he is making these rat traps, and suddenly one day some nice idea struck him. Okay. Now what was the idea? The whole world with its lands and seas, see here, it's very clearly mentioned, is nothing but a big rat trap. So he is thinking. Now what happens? He thinks of the whole world as a rat trap. And all of us are the rats. We are all running a rat race behind all material things. How much ever we get, we are not satisfied, we are not happy, we want more. And then we keep hunting for all the cheese, all the attractive things that the world can offer us, its riches and joys and shelter and food and clothing. How much ever you have, there's no, it's never enough. So here he talks about how it set baits. Set baits mean what? To place food on the hook or to the trap, or on the to attach that so that it will get caught, the rat. So here he says the moment you touch the bait, what happens? Then everything came to an end. You are already in the trap, like all of us are. Most of us are already running the rat race, and we are in the rat trap of the world. So it's a very beautiful metaphor that he thinks of. Although being a beggar and a poor man, he has his freedom to think and come up with his own ideas and concepts, and he enjoys. And he's very happy about it, to think of this. Why? See, unwanted joy, unaccustomed, strange joy. It gave him pleasure. Why? Because during his dull, dreary, dull ploddings, in dull walks around with nothing exciting in his life. Okay? So he is happy about thinking that the world is like that. Everyone is caught in the rat trap. And the world has never been kind to him anyway. So he thought it's wonderful to think like this. See, he says, he's never been kind to him. So when the world has never been kind to him, let him think of something like this, and which will make him feel happy. At this time, one dark evening, as he was trudging along the road, he caught sight of a little grey cottage. And then what happens? One day he comes across a small, what is a grey cottage? Here I would like to tell you about this. It's a US spelling of grey, Gray. The actual spelling of the color grey is Grey, which is British English or the standard English. And then he goes there and knocks. Now, usually when a beggar comes and knocks at our door, what do? I mean, majority will just chase him out. Will make a face. Even if we give something to him, we'll give it in such disgust. People don't really entertain and say, nobody will say, beggar has come, let us call him in. Nobody's going to do that. So something very surprising happens. So Crofter, the old man here in this cottage, he invites him. He has now, there is another thing I've highlighted over here, you can see. An old man without wife, child, was happy to get someone to talk in his loneliness. And this is something. So why did he invite this man, the beggar, into his house? He has no wife, no child. And therefore, in his loneliness, he thought there is at least somebody who can give me company and I can talk. So he invites this person in and he offers him everything. He gives him food to eat, a very nice porridge. You can see here, porridge. He offers him porridge and then he even gives him his pipe to smoke. Okay. And then he even plays a game. Now this Mialis, now it's pronounced as Mialis. Okay. Wherever J is, this J is written here. You can just keep that silent and pronounce it as Mialis. Mialis is a card game of Sweden. So he even plays cards with him and entertains the man. No, not because he really wants to entertain the man, because he is feeling lonely and he was happy that somebody is there. So this is the crofter. Now who is the crofter? A crofter is a person who rents or owns a small farm, especially here in Scotland. But you can see here, so this old man who allowed the beggar to stay in his house is a crofter. So he is having enough money. He even boasts of having a cow which gives him enough milk that he can even send it to the creamery. See the place where milk and cream is turned to butter and cheese. He sells it, he gets money. So he is a man who has enough. Okay, he has enough money also at home. You can see here 30 kronas. 30 kronas means what? 30 kronas means the money, the currency used in Sweden is krona. So he's talking about that, and he was working at the Ramsau Ironworks. Now this Ramsau Ironworks is important because the rest of the story is going to be only about the Ramsau Ironworks. In Sweden, you'll find lots of industry, business and work is set up based on iron and iron related work. So here it's Ramsau Ironworks, which is also again here it's silent. So it's Ramsau Ironworks is also again a place. Now you will see a lot about, you'll get to learn about how raw iron or pig iron is then made into the kind of iron we get to use. All right. So here the stranger could not believe what was happening. It's the word incredulous, which means he's unwilling and even disbelieving to, what is all this? No? That the old man went up, he even showed him the money. Now, even if you allow a poor person to enter your house and you're going to be kind to him, I don't think you will open and show all the money you have and everything. That is like tempting the person. So here that's what the crofter did. He literally tempted the person. He showed him the money and all that, and what the poor man cannot get at all. So here is the big mistake that he makes. So after the old man, the crofter leaves the home for his day's work. Both get up in the morning. So then the beggar also leaves the place. But then what is playing in his mind? The money. The 30 kronas which is tied and hanging next to the window there. So he comes back, okay, breaks open the window and takes the money from there. Now that's what he says. He has fallen into the trap. Who? Our central figure, our protagonist, the beggar or the rat trap seller. He thrusts into his pocket and he goes on. But after that he has no peace because now he has fallen into the trap. and he has got this money here which he has robbed. So now he's scared. He doesn't want to go where people are because they are going to catch him. The police may arrest him. Now he's scared. This whole paragraph here, the next paragraph, only talks about how he hides. Okay, this whole paragraph talks about how he hides himself, and he is not able to come out in the open. He goes into a jungle, and he is really tired and hungry. So even though he has money, he is not happy. This is what happens in the real world. That's what the story teaches. And you may have all the money in the world, but you may not be happy. No, being happy is something else. So it's to make us understand this. Then he talks about how he, it recalled his thoughts about the world being a rat trap, and he himself has fallen into the rat trap. He is caught in this, and with the thickets is the trees, shrubs growing thick, close together. He is feeling like as though he is in between all that. There's no escape. He's not able to. And then he also says it's like an impossible to pass through or enter. In that kind of a prison, an impenetrable prison he is then in now, and he is really sad about it. It was December, cold. Darkness comes in easy into the forest. He is really very tired, and he just falls there. He just lies down on the ground. He doesn't know what to do. At that time, he hears the thumping sound. What is the thumping sound? And then you'll see that came from the Ramsio Ironworks. So somehow he summoned, means what? He made a great effort, gathered all his strength he had, and got up. And was staggered. He was finding it even difficult to walk or move. So he very unsteadily, as if about to fall, somehow he moved himself towards the direction of the sound, and he reaches the Ramsio Ironworks. Now from here starts the rest of the story, the actual plot. Okay. Now the Ramsio Ironworks is the place where the work is going on, everything. It's a large plant, so it has a smelter. What is a smelter? Now here you learn all these terms. The smelter where iron is melted, rolling mill is there, it produces flat sheets of iron. Then there is a forge, which is the actual furnace. If you have seen the modern day steel plants, then any of the big steel plants, you can see it on Discovery. They were lovely videos of the steel plants working with the smelter, the rolling mill, and the forge. Okay, where first the pig iron or the raw iron as it's got from the earth is brought and is melted, and then it is sent into the rolling mill where they are made into flat sheets. Okay, and of course the furnace is needed to melt everything. So this is what is a smelter, the rolling mill, and the forge. Okay. Now in the summertime, what happens? They are sent down through the boats. What are the barges and scows? Are special boats made on which these iron sheets are placed and sent to other places, to different industries where they are made into usable iron. Okay, so then you also have this whole paragraph only is about the description of the iron mill, how it works. So where it is sifted means separated. What is separated? The coal dust, okay, which is sifted from the big charcoal crates. Okay, what are the charcoal crates? They are big baskets or containers containing coal, which reaches there to get the furnace hot, to melt the iron. The coal is required for that to produce heat. Okay, so this whole paragraph is about that. You learn a little more about how iron, raw iron is turned into, that is pig iron or raw iron, you can call it here, you can see on the screen, and how it is placed on the anvil. What is the anvil? Now in those olden days, today we have a lot of machinery, we don't need man, nobody is sitting there beating the iron, huge machines are doing it. In those days they used to place it on an anvil. So a heavy iron block with a flat top and concave sides on which metal can be hammered and shaped. So when it's still red hot, they place it on it and then hammer it. Okay, you can get videos of these in YouTube or in Discovery Best to learn a little more for your knowledge about this, and how iron, pig iron or raw iron, which is brought into the factories, is made into actual iron, the kind of iron which we are using to make all the kind of things we are using at home, or even in different industries, the machines and everywhere. Okay. So what are the big bellows here? the big pipes which are used to blow in the hot air that is required to keep the furnace burning. And shoveled means what? To be pushed in. So, what is being pushed in? All the coal, the charcoal, is being pushed into the maw of the furnace. The mouth of the furnace, a large opening through which, if you had seen even olden days movies and trains where they have the coal is being pushed in the steam engines and those days, so you will see the man with the big shovel trying to push in the charcoal into that place where it's kept burning to keep the train moving. So here it's something like that. The big bellows is the tubes from which the hot air comes, all to keep it burning, the furnace burning hot enough that it can melt iron. Okay, so this is a description about all that, and then this man reaches here and he asks for permission. What are the 1 minute? There's sooty pains. I think all we know what soot is now. The whole lot of the place will be covered with this, where there is burning, especially using charcoal. A lot of smoke settles on the walls, on the sides, and there is soot. Okay, so even the window panes and everything become black. Okay, the walls around. The rat trap seller here is called the intruder. Okay, who is an intruder? A person who enters a place uninvited, especially into a building with criminal intent, is called an intruder. Throughout the story, the author calls the rat trap seller by different names. Here she calls him as an intruder. If you remember, in the previous pages, she has used the word beggar, she has used the word vagabond. So here, intruder, and she then also calls him a tramp. Who's a tramp? A person who travels from place to place on foot in search of work, or as a beggar, vagrant. Okay. So the man is all this. Okay, there's a beautiful exercise at the end of the lesson. We'll do it together. But for now, you'll just take note of all the names used for the rat trap seller. So whether it's a tramp, it's him. If it's a vagabond also, it's referring to him, the same person. And then you'll see here the next interesting name, it's all ragamuffin. Who is a ragamuffin? A person who is dressed in rags, dirty clothes, old, dirty, torn clothes, ragamuffin. So the ragamuffin is also again here referring to the same person, the rat trap seller. Okay. What is it? Deigned. Do something that one considers to be beneath one's dignity. So here, the iron master, the owner of the iron mill, comes and he just has a close look at who is lying over here. He comes there, asks permission, and he just lies down in one corner thinking that December time it's cold and the furnace here will give him the warmth. So the iron mill is a warm place and he can just rest the night over there. So he lies down. But the iron master who comes in to check, he is just on his usual rounds to check how the work is going on. When he comes, he recognizes this man, Nils Olofi. How you do look. He recognizes him as someone whom he knows as an acquaintance. Okay, as an old acquaintance. And so he pities and he says, how is this my friend, my acquaintance has become like this. So let me give him a better life. And he immediately offers and calls him home. Come home. He says, come home, I'll take you home. And then the man refuses. But, he was an old regimental comrade, like as though once upon a time friends they were. Okay. But what is the condition of the beggar? The beggar wanted to just go away from there, not without attracting any attention. He just wanted to lie in one corner. Already he has robbed money. So he is afraid and he just wants to go away quietly after the night is done. By day he wants to leave. But then this man is not pleased. He goes home and tells his daughter, there is an old acquaintance of mine who is lying there in such a condition. I'm really sad about this and I want him to be fine. Okay. So the girl is very taken up. She also wants someone. And so she quickly goes and tells her father, I'll bring him home, don't worry. And she takes the chariot with the horse carriage, and the valet, who is the valet, the tender, the person who is there to help them, and she says, I will go and I will put right, I'll bring him home, and goes and addresses him as Captain Wonster. Now here this is very important. It's highlighted here in the text. You can see it's Captain Wonston, and he requests him to come home. Okay, and see here the valet. Valet is the attendant, and they go and they bring. Now she introduces herself. I am Edla Wilmansons, and I have come here to just take you home. Now you will see this whole part is very, very important. You have to know this is, very important lines in the story where Edla is talking to the rat trap seller, and she addresses him as a captain and tells him, although with one glance she came to know that he is either a thief or a runaway man, runaway from jail kind of a person, but she doesn't let that come out. She very nicely addresses him and invites him home, and she says, you may be sure, captain, that you will be allowed to go as freely as you came. Only please stay with us for Christmas Eve. Now, this is again another reason. Why do you think Edla invited this person? Because she is also feeling very lonely. It's Christmas time. Any festival, and we would love to have friends and guests and family and relatives home and enjoy together. No one wants to sit alone during festival. So, you can see in Edla also that it is Christmas Eve and she wants someone. And that's the reason she insists. And she said this in such a friendly manner that the rat trap seller could not say no, and he goes. Okay, somehow while going, he felt that this is something like, as he was entering their house, he felt this evil forebodings. What is evil foreboding? Feeling that some trouble is coming in. But still he goes. No? Why? Then he regrets. He feels bad. Why the hell did I rob that fellow's money? Now all that peace and joy is gone. He's very sad about it. But he has no choice. He's already there. He's in it. He's in the trap. Okay. So when he comes there, and then he has already come into the house now. Okay. And after he is cleaned and washed and everything is done, and they give him new clothes to wear, it's Christmas time. So the ironmaster's clothes are given, and when he is dressed, he is bathed, he comes out. Then the ironmaster finds out this is not the man. He's somebody else. He is not the acquaintance that I thought he was. He is not a person known to me at all. And so he blames him that he has cheated him, and he really loses his step. Okay. Says this is a mistaken identity. I did not think it's you. And why didn't you say anything? Why did you keep quiet and all that? Okay. The stranger did not bother. Now here's a stranger. Who's a stranger? Again, it is the same rat trap seller or central figure in the story, and he does not bother to even hide his feelings or real self. He also is not bothered. Okay, he is not so much and he knew that his splendor or grand life has come to an end within these few minutes. Okay, so but he doesn't keep quiet. His answer is also beautiful. He says, it's not my fault, sir. I never pretended to be anything but a poor trader. I pleaded and begged to be allowed to stay in the forge, but no harm has been done. At worst, I will just put on my rags, give you back all your things, and I will go. That's what he says. Now the ironmaster gets very angry, and he says, I will want to actually complain to the sheriff. Now, who's the sheriff here? The official in charge of keeping law and order. So he says, but I don't want to disturb him during Christmas. He says, so at the best, of course, you should be leaving. So he is also quite, and you go. Okay. But the rat trap seller, it's a very nice reply he gives. Now I'm going to tell you, Mr. Ironmaster, how things are. He says the whole world is like a big rat trap, and all the good things in it are like the cheese rinds. What are rinds? The outer rough covering, that is called the skin. That is called the rinds. It's pronounced as rinds. Okay, and if the sheriff comes to know, he'll only lock me up for this. Then you, Mr. Ironmaster, must remember that on this day you have done such a big thing, and you are the one who offered me it's part of you are also caught in the trap. You are also here in this trap of the world. So the ironmaster begins to laugh. That's not bad. It's a good philosophy of life you're telling me. And so he just says, okay, go. But then a big twist in the story. Now when this is going on, the ironmaster's daughter comes into the picture and says, no, he's not going. He's going to stay here. Okay. So the ironmaster is very upset. What is this? My daughter is coming in the way. The daughter is very embarrassed, but then she says how home-like and Christmassy she was going to make nice things for the poor hungry man, and all that is going to see. These are very important lines here which is highlighted. How she felt, and then suddenly everything is going to go off. So he says, "Oh, I'm not going to let this happen." Okay, and so she actually speaks more like a lawyer who is speaking for the rat trap seller over here and says, "Let him stay. Whatever happens, let him stay for Christmas. Just once in the whole year. Poor man, he has no home, he is roaming around. So at least this Christmas day, I want him to stay here." And finally, the ironmaster is convinced and he says, "Daughter, you are preaching like the parson." See here, parson is a priest in the church. So he says, "You're speaking like the father in the church only who is preaching." No? And like the pastor or the parson is called, as he's preaching, you're saying all these nice things, but I'm not going to take that risk. I hope you won't have to regret this, he says. So he is allowed to stay. He eats his food and he rests there. He sleeps and sleeps and sleeps all the time. Only when it's time for food, Edla wakes him up, gives him the food, he eats and again goes off to sleep. There is nothing much happening. Okay, all because of this girl who interceded, means who spoke on his behalf. Okay, so it's all about Edla. First of all, she's the one who convinces him to come home. She's the one who convinces her father to keep him there for Christmas. But after all this, they go to church. Father and daughter go to church. It's Christmas time. Now, when they are going to church, this man only keeps sleeping there. In the church, they get to hear about what this man has done. Okay, that he is the one who has robbed the money and that there is a man going around like this. Then the father is very upset and he says, "Oh my God, what have you done? You have allowed a thief to come into the house." Now Edla does one more thing. She also tells, not only this Christmas, every other Christmas that comes, you can come here and spend one day with us, no problem. She's being so kind and generous. No, a very good person. Okay. And in the church, when they come to know all this story, the father is very angry and he says, "Let's go home and we'll see whether we are finding all our things intact or how much he has robbed and taken away and gone. You have allowed such a man into the house and all that." So Edla is very sad, see, sad and in low spirit, dejectedly. And then they come. But when they come home, she is so very eager to see what is there, what is going to happen. But when they enter, the valet tells them, informs them that, see, the wagon just comes in and then they are told that man has already left. Who? The rat seller. He has left the home and gone. Okay? And he has also left a small gift for Edla. What is the gift there? She opens. What does she find? The money. The 3 10 krona notes which he had taken from the crofter is there in that. Okay, and all in jagged characters. What is that? Very rough. He is not a polished man. He writes in very bad language only. Not polite or not very correct English, but still he is able to write something and put it. He is not an educated man. He is a poor beggar. So he writes this. And this note is also very important. That's why I highlighted over here. "Honored and noble miss," he says, "Yeah, I am. And thanks for making me the captain. You raised me to the level of the captain. That gave me the confidence to confess and do this. Please return this money to that old man who has kept it on the roadside over there, attracting poor beggars like me." Okay, and this is a rat trap. He also puts a small rat trap in it as a gift and tells, "This is a small gift from the captain to you." Okay, and sign it from a rat who has been caught in the world's rat trap. So this is the story and how beautifully he is able to come out of the trap because Edla treated him with kindness, with goodness, never made him feel that he was a thief or a beggar, treated him so nicely that gave him the confidence to come out of it. So this is the story, and I am sure this is literally a predicament. What a predicament! What is a predicament? It's a difficult or unpleasant situation from which escape seems impossible. But you need somebody's help, then that other person can help you. Like here, Edla comes in like a savior, like a real saint to save this man. Okay, so we are all human beings. We don't like to be in loneliness. The ironmaster himself is a lonely person. The crofter is a lonely person. The beggar is also a lonely person. So we are all people who want people around us. Okay, so this is the story. Now let's go ahead. So here is a small glimpse of the story. The lesson that it teaches, the philosophy of life with rat trap. Okay, so what is it comparison? First of all, the feeling of guilt that the rat trap seller gets into, and then the forgiveness and kindness shown by Edla, her helping nature, okay, and how he changes and becomes an honest person with gratitude. And we all feel real sympathy for people like this who are in the rat trap. There is another beautiful activity that you can try doing. There are 15 different names used for the rat trap seller in the story by the author. It would be nice if you can read through the lesson and find out all the 15 names. Enjoy doing that. There are different words used for walking also. Okay, 3 are there in the text. Do a little more to find out what are the different words used in English to talk about the different ways people walk. Okay, trudging, plodding, walk, and go on. Some more to learn a few more words and the description of how walking can be described depending on the way they move, or no, or like trudge here meant what, walking very slowly, heavily, not really interested walking. Okay, so when we say the peacock struts, so there is a different proud walking, all that. So you can look up for some more over here, and learn more of the vocabulary also. So I hope you enjoyed doing this lesson with me here. Keep watching Sessions with Judith John for more tips and inputs to excel and stand out. Here is a WhatsApp number on which you can contact me, and the mail ID also, sessionswithjudithjohn@gmail.com. Please do contact for any kind of doubts and queries. You can also put down in the comment box, or you can call me up for online tutorial, for related discussions. Welcome. All the best. God bless you. Thank you.